This is the client logo element from ElementsKit for Elementor, and it's basically a carousel in which you can showcase the brands that you work with. Rather basic, but that makes it very easy to work with. No need to build it out from scratch. Let's have a look at how you do this with ElementsKit, the perfect add-on for your Elementor. So I do notice that I look here in the tab at the top and it says Elementor logo carousel. And I guess that was the original idea behind the client logo element, that it was a logo carousel. And if you think logo carousel, that's what it does. But it also creates grids like this, and you can bring in these images and you have overlay with the grids. And if you want to see more of this, follow the link in the description below. It will take you to ElementsKit and you can have a look at this display of this client logo. Check also out all the other elements, too many to count, and then you have many other great features. This is a perfect add-on for Elementor. We have navigation as well, and that's why I said this is definitely the typical kind of carousel that we are used to, but it is made specifically for you to showcase your logo. In a way, it's just an image carousel. But of course, like I've mentioned now a few times, what you get is something that's out of the box. You don't need to bring in a section, you don't need to create columns, you don't need to put an image there, you don't need to put in text there. All of that is done for you with the client logo. Enough talk. It is activated by default. So if you go into WordPress and you go to your ElementsKit, from the free version, you're going to get the widgets and you will see that client logo is activated. So nothing for you to do there. For us, let's go to Elementor. And we search for logo because there's just too many elements to choose from. So searching for it is much easier. And you can see it is the ElementsKit. It has that little label in the top right-hand corner. I'll just drag it and create a new section with it. We have 4 placeholders, and on the left in the inspector, the sidebar, you will see that we have space for 5. And you can add more items here. You can remove, and you have a slide style. There is simple and banner. Banner is that scrolling. This is the simple move slide by slide. We start with title 1, and this is not, like I said, there is really only 2 kind of things that you're going to do here. You're probably going to give it a name like brand, and then you're going to bring in an image. And this is the only little hiccup or call out I want to put here that you need to be aware of, is that if you are not bringing in images with transparent background, these containers, these 4 brands or slides that we're going to have here, they don't give you the control to set a height or aspect ratio to which all of them will conform. So if I bring in one image at 16:9 and I bring in another image at 4:3, this carousel is going to look super wonky. So make sure you do all of that aspect ratio alignment and settings before you bring in your images. That's what I've done with my images. So you're going to have a transparent background, and then you can play around with the background from the styling. I've just set it to a white background, so you're going to see there's a little shadow there. We have enable hover logo, and that will give you the ability to hover and give another image if that is something that you need. Just always remember, anything with hover kind of goes out the door the moment we talk about tablets and mobiles. So always think of anything hover. Is it worth it? Do most of your clients access your website through a mobile device? Then try and start thinking around hover effects, because we're not there yet where we have that distance hover touch. Future will come. Let's go to this and I'll build this out. Brand 02, and I'll bring in my second image. And we'll do the same. And because there's no styling here, what I usually would do is I will build out one of these and then I'll just duplicate it to make sure that I keep the same styling for all of the other items. But because there is no styling that needs to be applied here, I can do that on a 1-by-1 basis. And then let's do the last one, which is 5, brand of 5, and add this one. And then to show you how you can add a new one, click on add item, and that's it, as simple as it. And I'll call this brand 6, brand 06. And I'll pop in this logo over here. And that's what you're going to get under the logo section. And they will be moving as so. Below that, we have settings. A few things here. Spacing left and right. This one confused me for a while. It's the gap between the different items. No idea why they didn't call it gap, but they call it spacing left and right. So if I increase it, you will see the gap between the two increase. And then we have slides to show 4 at a time. We can make it 5 at a time. You have that control. Slides to scroll. If I want 2 slides, okay, that's 3. Let's try 2 at a time. Then instead of just the 1 by 1, a little bit more to view at a time, 1. And then you have your autoplay. You have the speed. Every time it transitions and pauses is at 1 second, and pause on hover. That's always a good idea. You can show navigation arrows and select them and put in your own. And also you have the option here to show the dots. And then in between these two, we have enable loop with a question mark. And I'm going to say, yes, let's loop it. So it will loop, which is kind of what it was doing. But then we have this feature to create a grid, rows, 1 row or 2 rows. So seeing that we have 6 images here, we can show 3 slides in a row and it will give us a nice grid. And I guess that's why they moved away from the word logo carousel to just client logo, because you can create this. And then there's a show separator. This one blew my mind. I activated it. I looked at it. Where is this separator? And to find out, we go to styling, separator, and we give the separator first a background color, or basically we just give it a color. So I click on classic and let's give it red so we can see it. Oops. Yeah, I got it there. Let me just make it a little bit more brighter. Good. And now you can see that small little line there. That is the separator. Not entirely sure what you're going to use it for, but maybe you find some graphic design use case for it. So if we play around with it, the height, you see there's the height, and we can put it on percentage and then move it to 100 pixels, 100 percentage. And then you will see it's all the way, and it's only on the right. And then you have width, and I can increase it. I think this is the full width. I wonder if it's percentage. Let's see what happens with percentage. So 100% will close the entire gap of the columns and not the rows, which is a pity. If the rows could have done that as well. And then we have top bottom position. Okay. Funky stuff. Okay, it's because I have that width at a crazy 30%. Let's just put it back on pixels. And I will increase it. And let's go back to content and just put our settings on 1 row. Style, separator, and you have that top bottom. You see, so you can reduce the height. And then you can play around with that separator. It's an interesting little add-on, which I have no idea, or I'm not really sure how to use it. You see, you can even change how it is aligned in terms of the relativity to the images. Very interesting one. So just to let you know what the separator is about. And there's even an image. Now, this one is interesting. Let me try one of these images that I have here just to see what it's going to do. Image. I think I just broke the bank. I think keep it as simple as that. So I will not use the separator unless you clearly have a vision for the separator. And that is it, a simple carousel. You go to styling, you have container background, all the regular ones, and then you have control over how the logo appears as well if you want to apply a background to it. That should be useful if you're bringing in PNGs with transparent backgrounds and you want to apply a color background. This is the client logo from ElementsKit for Elementor for WordPress. Websites for beginners from me, JP. Until next time.